Where's his mic? Welcome back to Sunday Brunch. We're live on Channel 4. We're now here with Dan Houser. Dan, before we get into talking about your book, we've got to talk about your career in video games. So it's kind of a weird, right at the beginning, weren't you, of the explosion with... So you went from St Paul's to Oxford to geography degree. Then how did you get to computer games?
Mostly nepotism. And also it was something to do. And I kept planning to leave and do something more serious, as no one took games seriously. And this was in the mid to late 90s. And I never could get around to it. And as the games around the year 2000, 2001, when it moved to PlayStation 2, and you suddenly had a much more powerful machine and a DVD rather than a CD to store stuff on, you could suddenly fill them with content. And suddenly it became super interesting, just as I realised maybe, a career in movies would not be that interesting or I wouldn't be suited to it. And so we kind of got to invent all of this stuff. But it was really by accident.
But inventing it how? Were you coding it?
Oh, good Lord, no. No, that's for clever people.
Right.
No, I was leaning into the fact I didn't understand any of that and trying to add value, figuring out how to tell stories in that space, in that way, which would be like a sort of, almost like taking a movie or a TV drama and cutting it into chunks and having those chunks flow in a sort of non-linear way.
I can't imagine how you'd even start that, because then that conversation then to the people who were coding it, it seems so alien to me.
Well, it was, we started it small and the games got more complicated each time.
Yeah.
But it was also sort of necessity being the mother of invention. We had to get something finished to stay in business, and we figured out this seems like a sensible way to do it. We had very clever people on the team figuring out how to glue it all together, and we kind of learned era by era by era, using the stuff we'd learned on the previous one and the mistakes we'd made to make them better the next time.
Well, there wasn't a lot of mistakes. It was hugely successful. Our international celebrities have all played Grand Theft Auto by the sounds of things. Why was that game so successful? Is it because it's a version of ourselves we know we can't play out, but we can play out in simulation?
I think partly. I think it's partly that. Partly it put you in this exaggerated cinematic world. And mostly, I would argue, because it was this sense of freedom. Like it was the game where, before that, games were either a shooting game or a driving game or a simulation game. And it was all three smashed together in a way that felt very free. And just also, when people talk about the metaverse or this digital world, those are the first games that showed you this idea of just living in this fake place.
Okay. Did you know when you kind of constructed, you thought, this is something different, this is something that, if people get this, we're taking gaming to a different level?
I think all of the team felt with GTA 3, which was the kind of big breakthrough one in 2001, and we were very much running out of money at the time as a company. I think all of the team thought this could be amazing. Yeah. There's something really magical about this. It was very raw and put together, but as it began to come together, had these sort of moments of real innovation and real kind of felt like the future in a way. But then, until it came out, no one outside of our company was very excited by it. Right. So that came out just after 9/11 in late 2001, and as it came out, people suddenly got more excited about it.
For our viewers who don't know, Grand Theft Auto is you're basically partaking in crime, aren't you? So
you are a nasty person in a nasty world.
But just before we go on to your book, because it leads into that, where can it go?
Where can what go?
Gaming. Because we're going so fast, so quickly. Where can it go? Because AI's now joined the party. Where can it go?
It can go, with all things, it can either go somewhere really interesting or somewhere that gets overly focused on making money. And I think there's always that danger with any commercial art form that they get distracted by money. But I think there's still a big ceiling creatively to make these kind of living narrative experiences. And I think that was what we were always trying to do.
Which you think will win out? Money?
I think they'll both win.
Okay.
I think there'll be two paths. I've already seen that in spaces in the games industry where they both kind of win.
So you've turned your hand to being an author now. You've written you've written a novel. Tell us about this.
This is something that it's a book about the AI revolution and about making games, and some people that make some bad decisions. I was during COVID and realizing that COVID was about two things, or the COVID experience for me was about two things. It was about coronavirus and it was about Zoom and technology. And I think I realized at that moment, we've underestimated how big I'd underestimated because I wasn't very observant, how big the transition of this sort of digital revolution is. And it really is a moment as big or as transformative as the invention of agriculture or the Industrial Revolution. And yet we didn't have a lot of books about it, I felt, or the fiction tended to be quite one note about it. And then also realizing we'd spent 20 years saying video games the next mass market medium, and that has now happened. And what does that mean? And what is there? What's interesting about it? And how do we, I think with all these technology companies, people get rich and powerful on a scale almost nobody's ever seen before. They're give or take the richest people who've ever lived, and in some ways the most powerful people who've ever lived in terms of influencing the world. And all of the companies start out the same way. We're here to make things better. We're here to help people. We're here to fix the world. And then they get this kind of Faustian moment where, but we're also going to get extremely rich and extremely powerful, and things get corrupted. And just trying to look at that in an interesting way, and the journeys people go on with that alongside the AI revolution that when I started writing this was long before ChatGPT launched, but what happens if this goes wrong?
So I haven't read the book, but it's basically someone who's living in the real reality, maybe.
It's a set of characters.
If this is real,
yeah.
And also someone living in artificial reality.
Yes.
Right.
It's a set of characters who were involved at a video game company that was very ambitious, that was trying to make this game to improve people's mental well-being, and they were doing a lot of work trying to develop an AI agent, and the AI agent acquired massive general intelligence, but it was made by two engineers who didn't like each other, so the AI is riddled with self-loathing and is simultaneously kind of infinitely intelligent and has absolutely no wisdom whatsoever.
I love this stuff. Does it turn into a game?
We are making a game set in the same world, but not exactly the same story.
Right.
So we've begun work on that about 18 months ago, and that'll be another few years in development.
And AI involved in that?
AI involved in the story or in the telling of the story?
In
both.
Yeah.
In the story, yeah, there's lots of AI characters. We are dabbling in using AI, but the truth is a lot of it's not as useful as some of the companies would have you believe yet.
Okay.
So there's a big, it's not going to solve all of the problems.
But being someone who's in this industry, is it moving? It feels like it's moving quicker than it's ever moved. Is that how it feels for you, that it used to move at this speed, now it's moving rapidly?
In specific areas, yes. And in other areas, we have a whole field of areas we need technology for, and AI is great at some of the tasks and can't do the other tasks yet. So they will claim it can solve every single problem, and it really can't yet. It's such as far as I understand it, it's a sort of hold-all term for all future computing. Yeah. And it's not really doing a lot of the stuff yet, but if we all give it all of our money, it might do it in the future.
Oh, let's do that then.
Yeah. It feels a bit soundbitey at times, doesn't it? That you sort of say, oh, this is amazing, AI's doing this.
Yeah.
But it's the depth behind it.
And a lot of those processes, computers are already doing.
Yeah.
So some of it's just to sell AI stock or to convince everyone this is transformative. And other stuff it does is amazing.
But the speed of it is phenomenal.
The speed, my experience has been with technological innovation is the first 80% is quite easy, and the last 20% to make it a sort of perfect simulation of something in the real world is very, very hard. So it would be interesting to see that last bit, how hard it is for AI, which learns in a different way to normal computing development, how quick that is or isn't.
All right. Amazing. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Your new book, Better Paradise, Volume 1 and Aftermath, is out right now.
Thank you.